Hey guys, how you going? Here at Nature Pets Aquarium in Blackburn. I'm going to be doing a scape today in a low tank, something a bit different to what I would normally do, something a bit out of my realm of videos and whatnot. But so what we'll be doing is we'll be using the base elderly stone. So it's a really beautiful sort of greyish brown stone. It's got lots and lots and lots of character, which is the most important thing, especially when you're doing a low tank. You want it to be that wow factor. You want people to look at it, see a whole lot of movement in the scape, then use plants, wood and whatnot. So using the elderly stone, doing some wood over the top of it, creating essentially like a weeping willow, using some terrestrial plants, some air plants and whatnot to give it that look of those sort of weeping leaves of that sort. Plenty of rock to go through here. Looks like there's tons and tons and tons of it, so I'm going to go through it slowly and pick out some of the best pieces. So as you can see here, right, you just got to look at this rock to see that it is just nothing but character. When scaping, people use a whole bunch of different rocks. I like to go for things that have a whole lot of character. I think it really creates a mood in the aquarium. So you've got some huge big pieces down here. Obviously it's going to take me a while to get through all of them, find the bits that I want, but we'll get there eventually. So better get started. So as you can see here, got some nice big pieces to start with. Just picked a few off the top. We'll see how we go with some of those. Try and make the composition nice. Got some big bits, some smaller stuff, and we will obviously come back to get some of the smaller boulders and whatnot. But just I want to try and build a little bit of height out of the aquarium first. Get the wood essentially won't be sitting in the water. I want it up higher. And we'll go from there. Take your time, essentially, when creating the hardscape. That's the thing that it's essentially the bones of the aquascape. So if you haven't got good bones, then the rest of the scape's not going to do too well. So it's important to really, I generally take this tank here, probably take me the good part of a day, if not day and a half, to actually completely set out the hardscape. So for you guys at home, it's not about getting it done in the 20-30 minutes like I smashed it out in this video, obviously, but what's important is that you take your time, take a week or two, change things, move things, get it to a point where you look at it and you're really happy with it. That is the number one thing when it comes to aquascaping. Now this tank isn't a competition tank, it's nothing like that. This is well out of the realm of what I would normally do with a tank. I'm more traditional aquascape inside the four walls of the tank. But a shallow tank is something that I've been wanting to do at home for a long time, and it's something that I've been wanting to just do for a long time. I love shallow tanks, and I love the look of the composition of out of the water, in the water, and creating essentially a little home for fish and wildlife. This is where placing your rocks becomes really important. I absolutely love this boulder. It's got so much character, it's flat, it's not jagged, you know, you can actually place it in the tank well. It's just too big. It's too big, the sides are too tall on it. It just looks like there's a big rock that has been placed in the tank as opposed to a natural formation. So unfortunately, as much as I would absolutely love to have this rock, I just can't. So we're going to take him out. Place him off to the side. And continue.
Sound straight.
So here, Nature Pets, Weo substrate, rocks, everything you need Weo. So we've used the larger elderly stone in there. So we're going to use a whole lot more. So let's have a look at the scape. So as you can see, a whole bunch of the elder rock. Nice amount of detail up through there. So right in this section here is where the tree is going to start to come out of. So obviously there's still a lot to do, but yeah, the Weo products really good, really great. You know, they've got everything from fine sand to gravels, larger rocks. As you can see, we've used the large elder rocks, and then in some of the areas like here, as you can see, we've used some smaller bits and whatnot. So really great product for especially new aquascapers as well. I know that when I was starting out, I struggled to find the same rocks in different sizes. So with this, you can get that really nice composition showing all the same rock as opposed to trying to put bits and pieces together. My trusty scaping tool. Now the reason that I'm putting this in now, so I just want to get a little bit of an idea of the colours and all of that, and if it's not the right colour, I will actually change. I will take all of this out and go for something a bit lighter.
Be able to prop it up and whatever if you need to.
I've got the rock, there we go. The rocks that are there, like that's...
And where's the other one?
So one thing that I've done off camera, spray in a whole bunch of expanding foam, black expanding foam. Now, yes, at the start, it's going to look like it is completely not in line with all the rocks, different colour and whatnot. Good thing about expanding foam is that you can actually cut away at it, and then once we're done with a bit of gel super glue, can sprinkle some gravel on there, dust, and that will all look like one nice rock that branch is sitting on. It's already been glued with liquid super glue and the Dymax Compaseal. It's not moving at all, but this will just create a whole bunch of extra grip and I suppose flexibility in it when it gets touched. The expanding foam, a bit more flexible than the hard Compaseal. So when it comes to putting the rocks in, no special way at all. It is essentially just drop and let them sort of go where they please, make it look like it's a riverbed. No one puts rocks in a riverbed, they just end up where they end up. The more the better as well, I say. The idea with this scape is that it is essentially like a section of riverbed with a tree growing out of it. So you got the rocky area on the riverbank coming into the riverbed here. Be a lot of creeping plants, Monte Carlo, dwarf hairgrass, some larger, longer Liliopsis up in this area. A few crypt flamingos just scattered in for a little bit of colour, and just very densely planted in around this rocky area with epiphytes, Anubias, Nanopetit, small little leaf structure, create that sense of scale with small leaf plants. So what we're going to do here as well, got a whole bunch of little twigs and whatnot, similar wood to what is used in the tree. They're all going to come down. We're going to create essentially like a really, really lovely, what would look like a root system for this tree, like it's grabbing onto the rock. Really nice natural look. Essentially looks like this tree has just grown on to these rocks and the roots have grown in and around.
Sounds right.
So in terms of the hardscape and all of that, pretty much done in terms of all the rock work, the rocks, the wood, roots and all of that. The only thing that I've got left to do before we sort of plant it is some of these areas where there's cuts made to the wood in this sort of tree-like structure. Some of those places where there's cuts, gonna fiddle around. We've got another one off camera. Got a whole other piece here. We're going to cut that up, cut bits and pieces off it and create branches that aren't naturally in this wood, but similar to this tree structure. We're going to make sure that it looks as natural as possible. Keeping in mind that there's going to be a lot of air plants, old man's beard sort of plants hanging off these branches to make it look like a weeping willow tree. But yeah, the important thing is that we try and make them as natural as possible without that. And then if there's any tiny little blemishes at the end, they can be covered up when it's getting planted. A bit extra in here as well, just to really set this branch up properly. It's good. This Composil, it's not wet stuff. It is a dry fluff, but it actually works incredibly well. At being able to jam in there. So if I just literally, try not to get in the way of the camera here, if I just wet this, give it a good soaking, and then it'll start to set. You can see that smoke coming off it. And after a couple of minutes, not even a couple of minutes really, after 30 seconds or so, once that smoke has stopped, that reaction has finished, and that's as dry as it's going to get. So it's done about now, and that, solid. Alright guys, so that's day 2 done. Obviously you can see that there's been some huge progress on this Weeping Willow, as I've decided to call it. Obviously we put in a whole bunch of roots, got a nice big root in there as well. We'll see how that goes. We'll make a decision later down the track once plants start going in, whether we keep that. That's just down with a few dubs of super glue so that can just be propped back up. but really happy with this Weeping Willow, as I said I like to call it. Obviously this has come from, you know, that sort of spider wood pieces. Essentially, as you guys would have seen, we had 3 pieces that looked like a spider, and we've managed to make this beautiful tree out of it. So today is Wednesday, plant delivery is due on Friday. Not sure if it's Friday morning or Friday afternoon, we'll double check with the owners here. But on Friday we're going to wet this all down, start putting in the carpeting plants, epiphytes. Up in this section here, going to have some beautiful ferns and terrestrial plants, and as I've said before, off all of these branches, majority of the branches, we're going to have some really nice long old man's beard air plants, as they're called. So they're all going to be coming down there. This is going to be very much a big statement piece. As I said at the start of the video, this is probably the biggest tank that I've tackled in terms of stature, maybe not so much size, I've done bigger tanks, but it is the biggest tank that I've done in terms of wow factor. So happy with it so far, can't wait to see where it ends up on Friday after the planting. Alright guys, so today we have come back down. It is now Friday. The plant order has come in, or most of it at least. So we're starting off with some of the Pisces tissue cultures here. So we've got, I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 different tissue cultures. This is by no means everything that's going in the tank. There's a whole lot of other stuff that is on order at the moment. So today is just going to mainly be planting the carpeting plants and the foreground plants. Not that there is much of a foreground to this scape, it's viewed from all angles. So we've got our dwarf hairgrass, which is really, let's get that in focus. There we go. Really lovely, healthy. A few little yellow stragglers in there, but other than that, really nice deep green colour. So I've got 5 of those going in. Got 5 Monte Carlo, and that is absolutely packed. It's absolutely packed in there. The Monte Carlo, really thick. Got a bit of glossostigma as well. Again, nice and thick. Just open it up for you to have a look. Nice and thick, nice and healthy in there. Really lovely. I love the leaf structure, glossostigma. It's that nice in between sort of Monte Carlo, Liliopsis sort of deal. Takashi carpet, just something to have a little bit of different leaf structure. Just zoom in on this one as well. Hang on. There we go. Something a little bit of a different leaf structure, a bit closer together, small leaves, similar to the Monte Carlo, but just ever so slightly different. My personal favourite of all time, it's in most of my tanks, Mini. Beautiful. It's really lovely when it stays low and spreads out into a nice sort of thick bush. And then we've also got some Cypress Halferi. That's just a nice, lovely little grassy sort of plant. So we've only got 1 of those at the moment. Hopefully got some more coming in early next week. As I said, just to get a start on things today, get the filter on, get things cycling, get some, especially these carpeting plants, get them in as early as possible, so they start to grow in before any stems do. Alright guys, so we've pretty much knocked out everything that we need to here. There's going to be some late stage gluing and whatnot on the bottom of the tree trunk, just waiting for some more wood to come in so I can find those perfect pieces. So what we're going to do in a sec, we're going to start wetting all of this down, get all of these carpeting plants in. Then we'll give it a fill. That should pretty much do us for today. As I said earlier, waiting on a big plant order to come in for all of the epiphytes, ferns, everything that's going in and around this tree and the base of this tree. So for at least for now, just realised that I've probably blocked my face for most of this, but that's alright, we'll move over here a tad. So just waiting on a lot of those epiphytes, ferns, air plants to come in, so that's going to be later on in the video. So yeah, going to wet this all down now. We're going to start planting. As you can see, all of these tissue culture pots, they are in the position, around about the position where they're going to get planted. So obviously there'll be some overlap between them. They're not going to just be patch. but the idea is that these are all sort of sitting in their areas now where I want to plant them. It's one big tip that I have when building a tank like this, especially when you're building a bigger tank, is to place out where you want your plants to begin with. There's no point putting them all out on the floor, especially when it comes to tissue cultures. I like to put the pots in the areas and get ideas of where there might be things missing, or might be spots missing, or you might realise that you've just got a whole patch of hairgrass or Monte Carlo in one area where you want to blend it a bit better. So we'll give this a wet down now and get started.
Oh, and you're in the way.
Soundstripe.